recognition at the United Nations mission in Iraq, Kuwait. Now, he's channeling that experience onto something even greater: mentoring, coaching, and building future ready leaders through value based, human centric leadership. He's empowering tribal women, guiding young cadets, and standing by the families of martyrs with quiet strength. Please join me in welcoming Jayant Tiwari. Before we start today's session, I request that our learners post their questions in the Q&A tab. We will try to address as many as possible if the time permits. At the end of the session, we will display 3 polls on your screens and request that you actively participate in these polls to help us understand your grasp of what was covered in the webinar. With that in mind, here's a very warm welcome to you, sir. We are glad to have you present at the Industry Interaction webinar. Over to you for the main session.
Thank you very much. And my greetings to every one of you as per the time zone and the place where you are. Especially from my side, it's good evening to everyone present there. It's of course a great privilege for me to interact with such a young generation of people with young minds, vibrant minds. I think that's where the subject lies: psychology of negotiation. It is a very apt topic for today, where we would be mutually interacting on this subject. And before I move on, let me just share one more slide, which is a very famous quote: thinking creates action, action creates habit, habit creates behavior, behavior creates character. This is how we are all known by our behavior, that this is so and so like this. Character probably creates the purpose with that hindsight. And purpose creates your destiny. So actually it boils down that thinking actually creates your destiny. How simple or complicated it is. And I would like to put it across that thinking creates everything. And that's why my experience and suggestion that keep creating the thinking. So where does the negotiation lie in this? Actually, negotiation is part of the thinking or the entire process. And let me put it across as to what are, this also may differ with the age bracket and the profiling of that particular person. What my requirement at 8 years of age or 10 years of age was there will always change when I'm maybe around 17 years, 18 years, maybe studying in class 12. My things will change when I've done some professional courses, I'm into a job, and then vice versa. Even like today, I'm into the process of learning. After serving for almost 4 decades, I very deliberately took an option to get onto the studies and be with you all young minds. So point is that there, what was good or not good, what was desirable, these aspects keep moderating, modifying, and it must modify, because this is what the law of nature is. We are in constant process of evolution, change, and we need to adapt this nature's philosophy within our own selves. Now this change is actually taking place where? It actually is taking place here. If I think, then it exists. If I do not think, it does not exist. And so that's where I said that thinking creates action and thinking creates your destiny. And every negotiation which we will see subsequently, thinking activity is a very, very integral part of it. Today, in next 35 minutes or so, I should be dealing on this subject, basically the conceptual issues, what and why of negotiation paradigm. And after that, followed by that, is certain empowering leadership initiatives for excellence at career, at life, at various stages, what I just mentioned. What is the relevance of negotiation? What is this regulation? So first is that what is negotiation? It is actually, if you really conceptually see, it's nothing new which we are discussing. We all understand this. It is how one puts it across, maybe based on your own experience, your own perception, your own mindset. And one of the things which I would like to say, negotiation is basically deliberation between two thoughts and coming to a viable answer to it as to what I must do it. Or to put it across simply or in the present context, if you're going for a job or if you're going for discussing with 2 or 3 more people on a particular plan or a subject, you are wanting to come to a common agreement. And that common agreement always says probably there was differences of opinion, thought processes. I'll not call it disagreements. And then you come to a viable solution. So that is what you negotiate. Negotiation or negotiate is a term which we come across everywhere through the communication. We come across whether we are driving on the road, whether in a relationship, whether in a job, whether meeting with a boss, even at home, with your mother, with your parents, with your peers. I think we are in the process of negotiation. Negotiation in life. I personally feel that these both are coexisting fundamental basic skills. Life has, I think, two phenomena very integral to it. Life is per se what I feel. If you're breathing, you are alive. That's what people say, that we are alive. But I would like to put it across that there are conditions when you are still breathing, you may not be in senses. So I'll say that yes, you are breathing, but if you are thinking, you are certainly alive. That's why I put it across that I think thinking is a very great phenomenon, very basic and core fundamental basic skill for thinking and for negotiation, because that is where the mind keeps negotiating various aspects. So the quality of negotiation, defines and designs your life. Why do I say this? It is basically a mindset. We see various things. What attracts my attention, what observation I do, which it goes inside. I sees various things, but everything does not get analyzed by you. What you analyze it finally, that is what the communication, internal communication which you're doing it. That is the negotiation which you are doing it with yourself. And you finally devise that this is what I want to do it. And it actually leads to designing your own life. This is where my first slide actually had mentioned that the thinking creates destiny. The quality of negotiation or the thought process actually defines. It's very, very important. And I think we all understand it. And this I am saying, the crux of understanding today of my, of course, journey. Career is a part of life. This statement needs to be understood. Today, generally, we see that life has become part of the career. I feel that the career must always remain part of the life. Life must never become part of the career. Otherwise, you will be losing the crux of existence. Probably you may not be able to think correctly to doing something for which you were born or we were born. And that's where the role of negotiation, role of developing the creativity, thought process, creating conflict in your own mind as to what is the purpose of my existence. Is it only to do this? Yes. At various junctions of your life, the career or that particular work takes the precedence, highest priority. If my exams are there, undoubtedly, that is the priority. If I'm in a workplace and I'm doing some work, and there are days when you have to be there, yes, that's certainly there. But in entirety, one should not lose that sight that the career must remain part of the life. You must live up the life. You must enjoy life. You must cherish that life. Life is an integral part of the nature. And that's where the role of negotiation, role of thinking comes into play. Taking control in a distracting world. You see, we are in a very fast-paced, growing global scenario. There is so much of inputs are there. It's for good. But probably if I'm not able to decide and decipher into that as to what I must get overwhelmed by, It should not happen that the information actually overwhelms you and I remain clouded because of that. So the distraction must not be there. You must remain attracted by your own self. So that is where the taking control, you must be in your own control. And negotiation is an interactional excellence, both ways. One is within our own self. You see, I always tell people that firstly, if I need to succeed, be happy, or whatever word you want to put it across, I need to interact, know my own body as to how various parts, various cells, subconsciously, involuntarily, they keep working. We are not even aware. We are breathing, we are not even aware. So how things happen, how beautifully they are meshed. They are also interacting, they are also communicating. When you fall sick, how do the system fights for our cure? So there is an interaction, and that creates an excellence. So within me, and that's how my thought process also becomes there. People say gut feeling. So these are the terminologies, they have a meaning to it. And second is, in today's parlance, interactional with the other people. You need to understand various features which we will be seeing subsequently, and then derive and come to an excellence, desired result, what we are wanting. So we come to psychology of negotiation. As I mentioned, the first and foremost thing is the communication expertise, interactional excellence. And thus must be ensured. It is basically the way you communicate, the way you understand, the way you plan, understanding of a human behavior, the other person, his biases, your requirements, various things. We'll see to that. Where and what goes on during negotiation. So there are two parts in the brain, which you can always Google it and have a look at: amygdala and prefrontal cortex. These are two very important parts. And amygdala is something like, first line of defense. And it immediately works. The moment you feel threatened somewhere, it actually plays up. It comes up, it releases and warns you. So that is what the amygdala in nutshell is, where it is an auto mode. And it is a very, very old system. We always call it as a monkey brain. And it keeps seeing various inputs and keep reacting to your body. Even it creates a fear. If I see maybe some car driving on the road and I'm walking, I suddenly realize that, and the system tells me that get away, and then I jump across. So these are the instant actions. It actually works in that present moment. And the frontal cortex or the prefrontal cortex, it is actually the place where it moves slowly. It decides, it rationalizes various things: good, bad, ugly, right, wrong. So these are the two aspects which are very important. They work in unison also. And it must work in unison. And that is where the negotiation role of our thinking comes into play, rationalizing various things. Even amygdala is actually a center for the emotions. So emotion and the logic, how we actually correlate, these are the two portions which it happens in the brain. Why I mentioned this, I did not want to go into that mechanics of entire thing, but these things exist as to why we act or react in that manner. There are certain issues which are already there in our system, like amygdala and prefrontal cortex, where we can define it. It is part of the brain, and we can moderate as per our suitings. Subconscious and conscious minds. What happens, you keep seeing, we all see various things. I may not notice, my eyes are seeing various things. It is getting an imprint through my lens. But whether I'm seeing it, it is stored, what all are stored, I may not be even aware about it. But what happens that everything what is stored, whenever I'm thinking something, it is actually playing up, cross juxtaposing it. And whenever I'm wanting to think about it, that is the consciousness, that mind actually comes out. And then I take a call into that. There are various kinds of representations. And then whatever I decide to take out, it actually comes out like that. So there are so much of memory which is there in the subconscious domain, almost more than 90% of my brain, it is subconscious. And that's where the representations which are there, whatever you are seeing it, whatever you have thought about it, they all remain inside that. It's very important part of your thinking profile and the psychology of negotiation. Complexity are rising in the society, in our personal lives, connectivity and info flooding. What I mentioned some time back, it is good for today's time, in the sense that we are all connected to the countries, to neighboring districts, to neighboring nationalities, neighboring cultures. We are connected and we are getting so much of input as to what can be done, what should be done, what must be done, what more I can do. And you are actually trying to create various things in your mind. But yes, there is always a so-called, not a limitation, but you should be in a position to refine it as to what is of importance at that moment. And I must filter that much. I might work out. Rest things I must put it there somewhere for maybe later portion, or this is of no importance. So that complexities, one should be capable enough to negate it or put it across for sometimes else. Thinking and focus are the two very important and great phenomena, critical psychological abilities for negotiation. For getting anything done in the life, thinking has to be in control and one has to pay a focus. It has to be focused attention. Moving on from there, effectiveness hinges on certain portions of understanding certain basic principles. We all have certain biases. Once we grow up, we all have certain biases. Maybe thinking that, we have made a forceful initial projection, it must be agreed to it. And something like that. So we all move with the, issues which are there based on my experiences. These biases exist and we have to be very, very careful. We have to be aware about it, basically to moderate and mitigate various things. Social influence, as the name suggests, we have to see that someone is good, someone is bad. What will society say? How behavior is there, so-and-so's behavior. So these social influences exist. And emotional intelligence, we need to understand our emotional quotient and also as to what would or likely the emotional quotient the other person would be. And that's where we need to regulate our emotions and also there. And that's where the emotional intelligence or emotional quotient comes into play. It is a very important part of our negotiation or communication skill. My only suggestion to the people of the younger age profile who are listening to it, these terms may be sounding a little different, but they are very, very integral part of our everyday life. We are actually all doing it. I'm trying to see if you have been there with your maybe mother, and mother is annoyed, and you are wanting to put across certain point, you'll probably step forward. You'll approach in a different manner, or you may approach little later. This is what you're trying to regulate emotional aspect. So this is a small example. Power dynamics, someone, wherever you are approaching and going for negotiation, you have to not get carried away by, if you are projecting to some organization, some other person who is in that power. I think you have to see for your own power as to what is the best bet, what is the best value which you are wanting to put it. And I'm talking organizations and also about, I basically love to talk that everything originates and finally finishes with me, with my mind. And the power dynamics is actually that it is finally my decision. If I want to get it, I must get it and I will get it. There's no two way. If I was not able to succeed in that, the folly lies with me that I was not able to do my homework properly. I was not able to put it across. My tonality was not like that. My usage of words were not like that. Probably I was not, able to reciprocate like social influence. Reciprocation is a very important part of the social influence. And that's where you need to be very, very apt and correct in your own conducting your own self. And that's the next point, is that uniqueness. We all are born unique. We are actually single person in the entire world. And one must be proud of that. And that is where your own value systems comes into play as to how I project. It should not be there that so-and-so is presenting this way and that becomes my value. Yes, company's value is your own value, but actually the final product which comes out must be your own style. That's, I think, very important. And I think this is one of the very important lessons I would like everyone to take it across, that we all listen to everyone. We remain influenced, inspired, so-called, by anything what you are listening. But I think at the end of the day, you do not do it because you like someone doing it. You must do it because you are wanting to do it. And you do it in your own style. I think that's what the crux is. Understanding and pass towards powerful strategic conversation. And that's where you can negotiate forcefully, with respect. You can put it across your point of agreement, disagreement, giving the reasons to it. And of course, not saying no. When you're saying no, that I'm not in agreement with this, it is also there with you. You have to create an option. Because no means you have almost stopped. That I have a better solution. If you two people or three people who are negotiating, and you say that I'm not in agreement with this, the communication probably may come to a stop, because the other person, how he or she might find it, is very difficult to guess. So I think we have to suggest something like that. I have a different way of looking at it. Could we not do it like this? So a small example as to how we can bring in powerful strategic. That today, yes, it is like this. I agree. But in the long term, I think it will have this overriding factors or effects. And I think because of that reason, what I'm suggesting, it has a long-term effect onto that. So what I'm trying to suggest that, this powerful strategic conversations, this has to be thought about it when you're going to interact with people. You have to actually understand the entire battlefield scenario. I'm using that word from Yami. You need to understand. It is not necessary. You might have thought about 1,000 options. But when you go into the battlefield, probably there will be 1,001 option. Don't get afraid. But if you have exercised your mind will tell you that don't worry, this is the option. You have to think that my approach has to be positive. So even your word, your style of communication appears like that. You don't say, no, I'm not in agreement with this. This is not done. I have my data to prove it. No, it is not that. You prove everything like that. But there is an approach. Building stronger relationship, I think, is very important within your own self and within the organization for getting anything done. I am, of course, a very great advocate of mindfulness, mindset. And before I go on to this slide as to how to get what you want, it is simple thing like, we all have gone and joined forces, defense forces, I mean to say. Same, nothing great about it. Probably you all are in a much better shade, I suppose. You go and join to become an officer and you undergo training. And overnight, your minds start working towards your own team. No one teaches what is team, what is team dynamics, what is leadership. There are no classes like that. When you start working together, your mind starts working and start feeling that, yes, you start living for your team. You start living for your own dignity, start living for your own name, and your own name is actually a byproduct of your team's name. So something like that. And that's where everything is possible. There is nothing impossible. If someone says that it's very difficult, how can I do it? You are made to do that only. There are ways and means where you are told that everything is possible. When you go and doing maybe for the commando course or something like that, you feel that it's very difficult. But no, you keep doing it. You keep moving. So I think it's across everywhere. And I do not want to take more time because today when I got into the learning zone again after my tenure in Army of almost for 40 years, I restarted my career into learning domain. Probably it was very core to me. I loved it. I liked it. And I'm there with you all. So point is that, yes, you need to create challenges for yourself. What is difficulty? There's nothing known as difficulty. If you're wanting to do something, you need to create And for creating, you need to create a change. Otherwise, there's nothing to work. And for that, naturally, if you want to become physically fit, you need to go and run. You need to go to gym, sweat. But there'll be a lot of pleasure, okay, after that. So how to get what you want? Thorough. You have to be thorough in your work. It has to be well researched on all platforms, unending platforms. Do not think that I know everything. It is endless domain. You have to be absolutely confident. Keep carrying on the research. Keep reading. Today, we are so fortunate that on our fingertips, everything is available. We are so fortunate. So I think we should be thorough. We should do a lot of research. We carry out our own analysis. You get it debated with other people. You get it analyzed by other people, that this is how I feel. Throw it open to the other person. I do it today also. When I make my presentation, when I talk it, I still send it to my class that I want to deliver a talk. This is what my approach is. Can you suggest something? So people say that it's wonderful, sir. Don't worry. I said, no, I'm not wanting to listen to that. I'm wanting some issues where I can refine it and debate it. So I think it's very important that analysis to that extent, it has to be a value-based approach. It should not be that you have seen from somewhere and you wanting to project. Probably your heart and soul may not be there. So you have to be absolutely clear and prepared, and everything is possible that way. Effective communication, most important. Once you take it and present it, it is how your thought process, your analysis now is getting put it across to the other person. Your body language, your communication. I mean, that I think the first thing is active listening is most important. You must listen to the other person. What is that he or she is wanting to project? What is out of that? I must take it out. How I must take that word and put it across back to them. When you actually put it across, it has to be absolutely clear. It should be very concise. And if you have done your homework, if you are cheerful, you are mindful about yourself, you will be confident. The positivity has to be an extension of your own heart and soul. You do not have to be that today I have to be positive and tomorrow I have to be like this. I think it has to be instilled as a nature, and your approach will change slowly. These things are not difficult phenomena, but yes, you have to use those words. People say that how to practice, how you have to get into that. You start using that kind of a word. Your mind will also start working into that frame. Strategic negotiation, it should be principled negotiation for interests and issues. You have to be focused as to what you are wanting to achieve. Simple. Not about that person, about the personality, about the position. It doesn't make a difference. Even the army, which is so hierarchical, people might be understanding. We have our point. When I am presenting something to my very senior person, we put it across. And I have the right and the courage which has been instilled over a period of time that I put it across with a dignified manner. That I have this point of view, sir. I'm sorry, but I have a different opinion. I feel like this, but I need to give a reason to that. That my reasonings are like this. Or your point is like this, my point is like this. I think when we combine both, these things can come onto that. It is basically a value-based, interest-based, issue-based. Long-term perspective for building a relationship, this always must remain at the back of the mind. It is a winning factor. Certain more issues. The previous slide was basically for the people who are negotiating, 2-3 people within the organization for various things. This is more so for, I think, a generic or for the younger generation, but it applies across. And this is very core to me even today. Seek what you love. Try and find out what you love doing, what gives you contentment, happiness. Okay. And this keeps getting defined or refined with your life. At various stages of life, people talk about the purpose of life, various things, meaning to their life. What you are happy doing today is a purpose of life, I take it. But yes, today, tomorrow, maybe after 10 years. When your mind is alive, creative, you keep creating yourself. And probably the core which was existing with you, it keeps getting refined because of your refined thought process. And that's where it is that you must always seek as to what I'm loving. Am I doing that? Today, fortunately, I see, because in our times, if parents wanted that my son should become a doctor, I want my son to become a doctor, or so and so like that. What happens? That the mind of the child becomes that, you also have to do it. You might not be interested in that. So these are the core issues today. It is fortunate that various portions of counselings are there. You can aptitude profiling is there, attitude profilings are there, career counselors are there, job counselors are there. We can define it as to what, and then you can correlate. We are actually today's generation is a fortunate generation there, and we must use such methodology as to what I must do. You are going out and seeing various things in society. You can do not one, maybe 2 or 3 issues together. One may be your basic job where you are working. The second or third, there are other issues. I do not want to quote it. People play music. They love to play music. They are going into the bands playing. They're singing also. They are going and doing various things. Like in my introduction, I just came across, doing some work for the tribal women. And it was that pineapple leaves used to be thrown. It is, I think, thrown today also. And I was there in Tripura. And it just came to my mind that why do we throw this? If banana leaves, you can have a fiber. What do they do this with this leaf? And they said, no, we throw it. To cut the story short, I got in touch with certain people in South India and Citra, which is there in Coimbatore. And there were some scientists. When you have the intent, desire, today, of course, you have a mobile. In our times, we did not have that time mobile. I got in touch. The cosmos actually gives you something. I got in touch with some scientist. He says, sir, it's a wonderful idea. We can take out the fiber out of pineapple leaves and it will be better than silk cloth. So point is that, and I could not converse with the tribal women. They will not listen to me. They will not understand me. They were rather afraid of me in the Britain's area. But we still got together. We still worked together. It's not that I'm trying. I felt happy about it. So I think we can always see to that. Today, there are whole issues are there where we can work. Ensure uniqueness. Again, I come up there. You must be there instant. I'm not saying that you stand alone and you always keep carrying a flag that I'm a unique and I will do like this. No, you are part of the society. We are part of the nature. We are not the nature. We are the nature. And we have to be in unison with everything existing. But in spite of that, we need to stand, whatever it is. In a mango orchard, every mango tree is different that way. Otherwise, every tree might be appearing, yes, it is the same mango tree. No, it is not. The branches are different, the leaves are different still. So my point is that, we need to think about it and we must remain unique. Raise consciousness, awareness, and perspective. I today do a lot of reading myself on developing consciousness, awareness. This consciousness is not what we mentioned, conscious and subconscious brain. Whatever I see that, I keep it in my mind. It goes, I analyze it. It is only that awareness has to be non-judgmental. I must keep it in a very pure form with me, not judgmental. So awareness must be non-judgmental. I should not, because most of the conversation, thought processes are basically judgmental. This is how we have been born and brought up. There's nothing wrong or right in that. So my point was that, create that awareness, very core awareness as to what is the crux of this, and just keep it. And that is how that is the larger portion of the consciousness. Your consciousness paradigm, it will come there. The sages who are there, I feel that, they have a very high degree of consciousness paradigm. It can probably, things come to my mind. And that's what the perspective is. When you are there in that state, it is not that, people have to reach some stages, they have to go to some ashram or something like that. No. I think this is a very, very integral part. And I always go to various institutions to tell that I think this should be part and parcel of us since very beginning. I think this actually empowers my entire system to remain peaceful, cool, and calm in that manner. Develop empowering skills to lead self. We will see to that. Any skill where you feel empowered, where you feel good, where you feel energetic, where you feel happy, where you feel serving for someone, where you feel to give an answer to something very positively, I think they're all empowering. Create challenges and create horizons. I always have believed it. And I think I live it up every day with this. Hereafter, I go to certain empowered leadership initiatives for excellence at career and life. Certain skills I'm mentioning it. This is a picture which I just put it across of my brother sitting, younger brother. I was quite badly injured in Kashmir, and he didn't know. Those days there were no mobile, so he came up, and when the convoy stopped at that particular hospital, they used to have lunch break. I told some people that in this bus, my younger brother is coming up. He was also serving the same sector, and call him. So this was there. So these are the. I think we are still laughing and enjoying our moments. Anyway, this was just to explain it and put little maybe glamour into your thought process. Self-awareness, I think we need to carry out our intersection. People used to say in our times that morning time when you get up, you come up, you touch the feet of your parents. I'm not suggesting anything, but this is what we used to be told earlier. Get up, smilingly, go to prayer, at least do something, and go for an exercise before going to the bed in the night. Do prayer. You think as to what you have done, what is supposed to be done tomorrow, and what you are. Should I do something or not? So, in a nutshell, that you need to carry out your own analysis. No one knows you better than yourself. And there are various methods on which you can actually see to that. I think this is the start and finish point of your self-awareness. This actually gives out your entire SWOT analysis as to what your strengths, weaknesses, or how you want to do it. As a general terms. Communication skill, undoubtedly, we have deliberated a lot onto that. Strategic vision, you need to think beyond what you are thinking today, that this work, I must do it. What beyond? Even if you're going to do a job, I want this seeking job, what it is? What is the culture of that company? What is my prospect? How my personality is going to get enhanced? Where am I looking forward after 10 years? So today also when I do my coaching, certain people are there, mid-level managers or senior level leaders. I only ask them, where are you wanting to see yourself? Maybe next 5 years, 3 years, 10 years. So this is what it is. What is this framework which you are wanting to see in your own product, what you are making it? If you are there in NGO working for something, what is the end game which you are seeing it? Not today, after 5 years, after 10 years. So that you need to have a vision, and it's wonderful when you think about it. Decision making is a wonderful, I think this is the most important thing. Even when you are communicating, you're deciding. And you have to decide. There's no two way about it. Leading through vulnerabilities, I think one must create confusion for yourself. Okay, conflict. I'm using such little words which will ginger up your head, but I think that is the time through which you need to work through. Your communication skills, your visioning, your awareness quotient enhances. Resilience, nothing goes bad, and anything that goes bad, I will bounce back, I will redo it. Winning mindset, you have to be there. And this is an offshoot of probably we have been working through onto that, being into the army. And it's not only for the army, it is actually applied across the board. You can replace the winning mindset with people talk growth mindset or whatever kind of mindset, positive mindset, okay, success mindset, whatever you want to say that. But I call it as a winning mindset. Discipline, you have to be disciplined, absolutely disciplined. And then only rest all the factors come into play. Emotional intelligence is a very important part of the leadership skill, which we must be there. Once you grow slowly, at every stage of life, there are different kind of emotional intelligence skills which are desired. Cultivating empowering leadership, inspiration, cohesivity, selflessness, purpose, and consciousness. Inspiration is what you feel inspired with your own self. Is it there that, someone who looks up to you and feel inspired? I do not have to tell people that this and that. They will see through you. Don't worry. If I'm doing my work with truth, I think there is an inspiration. Cohesivity within your own self, as I mentioned, you know your body, your system, how beautifully, cohesively they work. Everything is different. Every body's mechanism is different. How cohesive, beautifully they work. And when I'm working with two or three more people, I'm not able to work so nicely. Why not? Such a complicated machinery inside us is there is so much of simplicity in operation in so much of complex environment. And I should be able to work with 2 people, 10 people. I need to respect everyone, every uniqueness. And that's the hallmark of leadership. That's the hallmark of achieving something. That's the hallmark of negotiating your mind, that this is how I'll work it out. I'm working to work for an issue, not that individual. Selflessness. It is not me. Who am I? It doesn't make a difference. It is that value which I'm wanting to create it. Whether it is the 12th exam, I want to do it. Don't get obsessed by it. Or I want to appear for that. It is that focus is there. Purpose is very, very clear. It has got far-reaching meaning at different stages of life. And you must think, not purpose of life that, I want to become this big or all. Yes, every step is a big step. So, but these issues must be there as to, sometimes when you're sitting idle, you can always think. Consciousness, you must develop that consciousness paradigm as big as possible. You can get used to anything. This is, of course, one of the pictures I found it en route. This is one of the commandos' confidence jump around 60 feet high. You have to travel and then you have to jump inside the pool. So we all are afraid. It is a 9-inch plank on which you have to move. And if you show a sign of little wavering, there are all instructors sitting below and they say, commando so-and-so, turn back. And you are failed. So anyways, it's fun, of course. It's a pleasure to see that now picture. So I just thought that for the younger minds, I can only say that you can get used to anything in this world. And almost at the end, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moment of comfort, but where he stands during the times of challenge and controversy. That is what is actually meaning related. This is the peacefulness of mind. This is the peacefulness at war. Create challenges and create self. In the end, it is how you respond to circumstances. I have just modified it for better understanding and assimilation. It is how you negotiate to circumstances that reveals your character, your destiny, your meaning to existence. It is so much profound. Your every thought and action is so profound in meaning to your existence. It is actually. It is for every moment what we do. It is actually empowering me. Forget about others. Choice is yours, simply, as to what you want to do it. And I always say that, yes, nation first. I think this is the biggest of purpose. And I always say that be blessed in your endeavors. And we can now shoot whatever inputs which you would like to interact with me. And should you all have any queries, you can always mail me, get in touch with me on a mobile, on a personal coaching. Don't get worried about that. If something issues are there, you're most welcome to interact. And I was actually, sometime back, I was going through, I think you all must have read through some book. I was just going, there was a book, I think you all must be, just a minute, I thought I must share it because that was very good for the people here. It was a book, just a minute. Getting Things Done for Teens. I think this was a book, it was very wonderful. I just came across and someone sent me a PDF sometime back and it remained in my mind. So I think it is a very beautifully put it across, Getting Things Done for Teens. I have of course, soft copy. I can always put it